Hi there, I'm Mrs. Wilkerson. I'm going to tell you how you can do your best on the science portion of the ACT. Now, the science test is at the very end of all the subject tests. It's test number 4. By the time you get to test number 4, you're probably going to feel a little bit tired. You've been testing for over 2.5 hours, so it can be a little bit more difficult to keep up your stamina, keep up your motivation, but do your best. There's going to be 40 questions in 35 minutes, so that means 1 minute, less than 1 minute per question if you're going to finish the whole test. There's 7 passages for this test. They go easiest to hardest, and they're going to cover subjects, anything that is science related: biology, chemistry, physics, geology, astronomy. Now, it's okay if you've never taken an astronomy class, because everything will be provided to you for you to answer the questions in the passage. It's all about data interpretation. They're going to show you experiments, graphs, and data tables, and all you have to do is interpret that data. You do not have to remember anything from your science classes, so that's pretty nice. Now, for the passages, there's 7 of them, but here's how they break down. There's 3 of them, 3 types: data representations, research summaries, and conflicting viewpoints. There are 3 data reps, 3 research summaries, and 1 conflicting viewpoint. The conflicting viewpoint is the most difficult, and I'll show you why here in just a second. Here's a picture of a data representation. You can see here that you see data tables and graphs. This is just one experiment's worth of data. What I suggest you do when you see a data representation, you take a couple seconds to look over what the graphs are showing you and what is the data table showing you. Please do not go straight to the questions and skip looking at this. This will take you more time if you do that. Take 5 to 10 seconds, look at the labels of the graph, look at the labels of the data table, then go on to the questions. Now, this is going to present data tables from one experiment, and it's going to require you to understand, evaluate, and interpret these graphs, tables, and charts. That's all it's going to be. Here's what a research summary looks like. A research summary is going to show you a series of experiments. Here on this experiment, or this passage, I have 2 experiments worth of data. Each one has at least 1 data table, and you're going to have to compare these experiments to each other. So it's important that you understand how are they different from each other. And you will have to draw conclusions based off those data and also compare them to one another. Here's a conflicting viewpoint. Now, this is the hardest one. There's only 1 of these of the 7, and for one reason. You do not see a graph or a data table here. This is like a short reading passage. You're going to be presented with at least 2 conflicting viewpoints that have some subject in science. Now, they're not going to agree, and you do not have to say who is correct, but you do have to read the whole passage. You need to underline important information and take notes in the margin as well before you go to the questions. Otherwise, it will take you way too much time to do this one. Okay? So you will have to compare and contrast the viewpoints and show your understanding of them. Okay, now let's talk about timing strategies. Based off the score you want to get, you're going to allocate your time a little bit differently and how many passages you're actually going to try to complete. If you want to get a score between 20 to 23, you're going to do at least 5 of the 7 passages. It's okay if you don't get to all of them. You can random guess on 2, just pick a letter, go all the way down. This will put you about 7 minutes per passage. I suggest you spend most of your time at the easier portion of the test, which is the first half. Answer the questions you do understand. Don't spend a lot of time with questions you do not understand. If you want to get a score between 24 to 27, you're going to spend more time with the second half of the exam, which is the harder portion. You're going to need to do at least 6 of the 7 passages. You can random guess on 1. This puts you at about 6 minutes per passage. If you want to get a score above 28, though, you're going to need to attempt the entire test. It's okay if you have to narrow down and guess for a few, but you need to attempt at least every question. Do not random guess and leave 1 blank. Now, try to build up a cushion of time in order to spend the conflicting viewpoint, because this is usually the passage that takes the most amount of time. Also, for everybody, no matter what your time strategy is, when eliminating down to 2 options, always lean towards the choice that uses the most ideas mentioned in the passage. Now, the best piece of advice I ever got for the ACT is don't go faster, but give up quicker. This means do not spend 3 minutes staring at a question that you don't understand that you probably are going to guess on anyways. Instead, narrow down, guess, come back if you have time, and then allocate those 3 minutes towards questions that you probably could get correct. Don't just stare at a question forever, because that wastes time. Good luck on the ACT, and hopefully you do well.